welcome. I'm helping with the Cystic Fibrosis Trust here today, and we're running a Preparing You for Work 6-week session. So what we're going to be covering in the coming weeks, this week we're going to look at how to do an effective job search. So we're going to look at what sort of websites are good to look at jobs, what else there is there. We'll cover this a bit more later, but just to give you an idea of what that means. Next week, we're going to be looking at CV and cover letter advice. That's pretty self-explanatory. Then we're going to be looking at interview preparations, part 1. That's mainly going to focus on interview questions, how to answer those, etc. and so forth. And then the week after that, we'll be doing interview prep part 2. This is going to be more of a general do's and don'ts around interviewing, how to present yourself, your body language, stuff like that. And then we'll be moving on to your first job, what your rights are, what reasonable adjustment means, and the law in general. And then, last but not least, we'll do your first job, do's and don'ts, how to manage your social media accounts, and everything else that entails. So, this week, what we're going to be looking at today's session is we're going to have a quick introduction. Baha will tell you who she is, what she hopes that the wider programs that they're working on with children in need are. I will tell you a bit about myself, and I want to get to know you, what your sort of interests and hobbies are as well. And then we're going to get stuck in with where the heck do I start? So you have to get a job, where to begin, how to break it down, and to make it all manageable. We're then going to look at my career. So what I mean by this, we're going to sort of look at a lot of self-reflection, sort of think about where you want to go and what you want to do. Then we're going to have a little break, just in case you might be at that point desperate for a cup of tea and a wee break. Mm-hmm. Then we're going to just start looking at some general job sites, places that you can apply for jobs, what they look like, just so you can become a bit more familiar with what there is out there and how to navigate those. Then we're going to do a quick look at volunteering. Again, you'll be at the beginning of your job career. You might not have an extensive work history as it was, but I'm sure there's volunteering, stuff you've done at school. This all sort of counts towards what you can put on your CV, what you can talk about, and it's all really, really important when it comes to looking for a job. And last but not least, we'll have a little look at apprenticeships and what they are and what they mean. And then we'll have any questions, a little summary. So, unless there's any questions, shall we crack on?
Yeah.
I'm hearing good. That's what I like to hear. So, first and foremost, hello. How are you? It's lovely to meet you. I'm going to quickly stop sharing my screen so you can see my face. Hi, I'm Dee. It's lovely to meet you. So, a bit about myself. I don't know, actually, Bahar, do you want to go first? Do you want to sort of talk about you and what you're doing here? And then talk about me?
What am I doing here? No.
What are you doing here? Tell me a bit about it.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm Bahar. I'm the Digital Youth Outreach Officer at the CF Trust, Cystic Fibrosis Trust. Basically, my project and my role is very much sponsored by children in need, who have been very generous and given a very good amount of funding for us to kind of carry out a project which aims to give support and skill up young people with cystic fibrosis sort of between the ages of 10 and 18. As you know, we have Holly Ray, who Sean, you should know very, very well, who has been giving great support and working with YAG, who Sean is also part of,
Awesome.
the youth advisory group, to kind of support people sort of under the age of 25. But what Children Need noticed was that there was a bit of a gap in terms of sort of the younger age range from that sort of pool of young people with CF. So I guess that's my goal, is to kind of help deliver and create workshops online workshops aimed at young people with CF, where we can kind of foster peer-to-peer support in a safe way. Obviously that doesn't there isn't the risk of cross-infection, and also kind of help young people with CF kind of feel a bit more supported in anything from thinking about work to thinking about university to thinking about creative writing, social media, any of those kinds of topics that young people want to cover. And we very much want to hear from young people with CF, so we can kind of get an understanding of what you want, rather than us kind of dictating what we're going to give to you. So that's just a little bit from me. So
awesome.
Happy to hand over to you, Dee.
Awesome. Right, so quickly let you know who I am. So hi, I'm Dee. I've been working in HR for about 5 years now. I've worked in advertising agencies and with hotel data companies and such forth. I've also had experience working with young people and mentoring with a charity called Debate Mate, where I've mentored young people, usually just before GCSEs, from like year 7 to about year 10, teaching them how to what to debate and stuff like that. So yeah, that's my experience. That's who I am. And yeah, so now I want to hear about you. So Sean, as our participant today, if you'd like to tell me your name, just tell me a little bit about yourself, just sort of what your interests are, and then I'm going to ask you a would you rather question. So if you want to take it away.
Hello, my name is Sean. I have CF. I don't know where I go from that.
That's okay. I'll hit you with a question, okay?
Okay.
Would you rather live your entire life in a virtual reality where all your wishes are granted, or in the real world?
In the real world.
Yeah? Why?
Because it's what you'll experience and where you see things, how they go, and it really impacts you. Whereas in a virtual world, you're not impacting anybody else. You're only living your own reality, but you want to make an impact on other people.
Fantastic. I love it. Awesome. What about Baha? Would you like a would you rather?
Yeah. Do I get to answer the same question, or do I have to answer this one?
Oh no, I'm going to give you a new one.
Oh god. Okay.
Would you rather live without the internet or live without central heating?
Oh, definitely live without central heating. I mean, I'd be out of a job if I didn't have the internet. No, I mean, I do. I can always put more layers on, but I can't just magically get internet if I have no internet. So I'm a little bit of a tech geek, so I would definitely rather
love it.
have the internet.
Okay, awesome. I'm going to share my screen again so we can crack on. Here we go. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. So thank you for joining us today. Feel free to, if you've got any questions at all, just to pop up and say them, and just interrupt at any point. So before we crack on with today's session, how are you feeling about these upcoming sessions, about what we're covering? Sean, I don't know if you want to just sort of feel free to say. I was going to say, is there anything? Are you feeling a bit nervous about them, or are you just excited to get stuck in and learn a bit more about the workplace?
I'm interested to see what are the ways what employers are looking for, and what are the real ways in the real world of work, how things work, and how to get a job in the future if you're going to become an employee.
Okay, that's really, really interesting. There's some really great stuff there. So you're sort of, there was almost 3 points there. Was what are employers looking for? How does getting a job actually work? And then the actual how to get a job. Have I got that right?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay, awesome. They're really great. Let's keep those in mind when we're going through these 6 weeks. And yeah, cool. So you mentioned you're doing a bit of work experience at the moment. But have you been looking for any jobs, or because you're 15, have you got like a Saturday job or anything?
I don't have a Saturday job, no.
Yeah, that's fair enough. You're doing 15, you're doing work experience. I think you're doing quite well, to be honest. So I'm taking you've never applied for a job or anything yet?
No.
And you haven't got, that's cool. How are you finding your work experience?
Okay, it's interesting. I mean, it's a very different environment from school. I mean, so you have different colleagues, you do different things, and so like yesterday, there was a guy who came around saying, "I want to be your trade union rep," and so
I
it's
like that.
very interesting and to see how things are in the world of work, and it gives you an idea how things are.
No, fantastic. Sounds like you're enjoying it so far. And I love that you've got a trade union rep already.
Well, no, I don't have one. But
You should definitely go on. I'm joking. Okay, cool. Let's get cracking. So, where the heck do I start? Thinking about it's really daunting, sort of like, right, I need to get a job. Where do I start? Like, do jobs grow on trees? Where do people get them from? So what I'm going to do here today is hopefully break it down a little bit, just to think about sort of the difference, and throughout these 6 weeks, it's just break down the different stages there is for finding a job, applying for a job, the job interview stage, and also your first job, like the employment. So I'm hoping that if we can break them down over these 6 sessions, it can make it a lot less pressure on you, make it seem a lot less overwhelming. So I hope that's clear. What I'm going to look at next. So this first section is where to start. So you want to get a job. The first thing you have to do before you get a job is sort of really think about where you want to go. So Sean, I don't know have you thought about what you might like to do, like after school or anything?
what?
Have you thought about
a job or?
Yeah, like what sort? Do you know what sort of job you'd like, or has that something that's even crossed your mind before?
I'd say my dream job is to go into journalism.
Fantastic.
I've gone into a sector, but I think it'd be interesting going to journalism because, I mean, the world of journalism is very big, and there are lots of things going on in the world at the moment, and it'd be interesting to write about them, talk about them, and yeah.
Awesome, that's fantastic. So you're already 10 steps ahead of most people because, they're like, right, I need to get a job. What do I want to do? Sounds like you've got a really good idea of what you want to do and what interests you. So that's fantastic. So I don't know if you have a pen and paper with you, but if you do, grab it. What I would like you to do is just jot down for a few minutes, is jot down your hobbies. Sort of, again, like you've mentioned journalism, that's something that you're really interested in. Sort of just write a few things down about your hobbies, what job you'd like to do, and just a few bullet points, just so we can refer back to it. Is that okay? Sean?
Oh, has he gone off? Maybe he's just disconnected.
No, that's fine.
A few minutes. That's
okay.
He's probably. I suspect maybe it's because he might be trying to write on his computer rather than.
Oh, that might be sensible.
Yeah,
okay, so just spend a few seconds thinking about that, and while you're doing it, I'm just going to tell you why. The reason why you want to start jotting down things like your hobbies, what your interests are, is because they are important to your getting a job. Your employer will want to know a bit about yourself. It's also really good for you to start writing down, just have them in your mind about what you do and how you can apply that to work. So it's just good to have it just jotted down at the beginning about your hobbies, what you want to do, and also we can work towards this. So let's just a few seconds doing that.
I'm going to do some tweeting while that's happening. I hope Sean will join us again in a moment. Hopefully you can hear us, Sean. Sorry, do you mind repeating again what you wanted people to jot down?
Yeah, sure. So what we're just going to do before we get stuck in is just to refer back to is a few of your hobbies, a few of your interests, and maybe what future career you'd like. So, for example, if you're really into blogging or writing for a school newspaper, just jot that down. And if you're interested in a career in journalism, or if you like juggling seals, whatever you're into, just jot it down, because I'm sure it'll be really useful just to sort of keep in mind what your hobbies are, what your interests are, and how we can use those effectively for like skills.
Great, awesome, thank you. Is someone else online? Oh, sorry. Hi, Sean.
No, my computer crashed out.
Oh, that's okay.
Did I miss anything?
What I was just saying, Sean, is what we're going to just do. I don't know how much you missed off, so I'm just going to recap. Sort of saying we're going to start at the beginning of our job search, and the first thing we're going to do is just jot down a few ideas for us to refer back to, like what our hobbies are, what our likes are. You know, if you're interested in like horseback riding, or if you really like English at school, and if you have any future career aspirations, like for example, you mentioned you really want to do journalism. So just jot that down just for a few seconds, just so we can refer back to it later.
Okay.
Awesome. I don't know if you have a pen or paper or going to write it on your computer.
I'm using Microsoft Word.
Oh, so sensible. Right, just let me know when you're done. And do we have someone else on? Oh, no, Sean.
No, it's...
What type of thing, sorry?
Sorry, say that again.
What type of thing?
So, have you got any like hobbies or interests? So, for example, you mentioned journalism. Do you enjoy writing? Do you have a real passion for like the subject for English literature at school? Do you like writing short stories or anything you like at all? Do you like juggling swans? Some people are into juggling swans.
Okay.
So it doesn't have to be an extensive list. It's just something you can refer back to later.
I mean, I only have like 4 or 5 things.
That's perfect. That's more than enough. It's just to start jotting down ideas that we can refer back to later. So, what we're going to do next. So, like I said, this whole point of this session is to start breaking down how to start looking for a job and really where the beginning point is. And what we're going to do now is we're going to do some exercises on reflecting on what you want and what your interests are, what your disinterests are, what your values are, etc. And this method that we're going to use is something that I've used with people that I've worked with. And so it's for people throughout any stage of their career, whether they're right at the beginning like you are, you know, just figuring out where they want to do, what job or career they want to go into. It could be for someone who's been in the same career for 20 years and actually they want to sit down and reassess what skills they have, what their interests are, and if they want to change careers. Or just someone who is thinking about maybe going for a promotion and thinking about where they are. So like I said, what we're doing next is really versatile. It's just mainly to get you thinking about what you want to do and what your interests are, like I said, what your disinterests are, what your values are, and sort of what you want to do. So without further ado, I think you're writing on Word. So if you want to just, on your Word document, what we're going to do is I want you to start a list that has your work interests and then your work disinterests. And what I want you to write down in these 2 columns, in your work interest column, I want you to write down things that excite you. Now, this can be as short or as long as you want. It can have only 1 or 2 things. It could have 5 and 20. And then I want you to do the same in things that disinterest you. So, for example, if you're really into... Now, this is just... What I've got up here is just some examples of different things that might interest you in the workplace. For example, application of technology. We've got engineering, computer programming, production design. We've got quantitative analysis over here. So this is people who are interested in analysing, accounting, like scheduling. What does that means? People who like write timelines for getting stuff done. Market research analysis. This is where people have you ever been stopped on the street and people have said, do you have a few seconds to take a survey? That's what that is. That's people trying to get your opinions and do some market research for like advertising or data companies. Feel free to ask any questions if any of these aren't very clear. So this isn't an exhaustive list of things that you might do in the work, like what will interest you or disinterest you. So this is just to give you some ideas if you're stuck. So this is about technology. This is about like strategy. This is like big ideas thinking over here. Like, oh, I'm really into business model development, or just teaching theory. This is all like theoretical stuff. And creative production. This is pretty more stuff that you might be interested in because you're interested in journalism. This is like writing and entertaining and new idea generation and stuff like that. I'm just going to skip on to the next slide. I can skip in between if you want some ideas. So this slide is mainly about what you do at work. Does that make sense? So technology, like engineering, that's something that you would do at work. Marketing and advertising, that's something that you do at work. This next slide, of work interests and disinterests, this is looking at working with people. So you're really interested in like working with like mentoring, so like giving people advice, providing feedback, supporting people, drawing people out. Or are you interested in managing people in relationships, like directing, supervising, negotiating, motivating other people? Control and influence. This is sort of about influencing other people. So this could be like making deals, holding all the responsibility, deal making, public relations, and stuff like that. So I'm just going to leave it on this slide for a few minutes, and I can switch to this slide when you want. And like I said, this is just to give you ideas. Like, you can ignore these two slides. You can write down whatever you want on your piece of paper. So just start jotting down one or two ideas about things that interest you that you'd like to do for work and things that do not interest you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Wonderful. Any questions? Awesome. All right, I'll give you a few minutes just to jot down some ideas, and feel free to just speak up if you have any questions. So this is, like I said, this is very self-reflective. This is for those who are watching on webinar right now. Just take some time aside to have a little think about what you want to do. The main reason I say that I do this is because when it comes to your career, one of the big sticking points is it can seem so huge. And like I said, these sessions are about breaking that down into manageable chunks. And actually, the main thing that people don't put time aside to actually think about where they want to go, you can easily panic and be like, oh, I've got to get a job, oh my gosh, right, apply for everything, okay, I'll apply for this job, and this job. But actually, what I hope that we're going to do over the next half hour or so is actually make sure that you carve out time to think about what you want to do, and actually make sure that you're not applying for every single job there is out there, actually focusing where you're applying and that it's in a job area that you're interested in.
Sorry, I'm just doing some tweeting about this, which is why I'm very quiet.
No, that's okay. Do you have any questions? Was that clear?
No, absolutely. That was very clear.
Awesome. Feel free to interrupt or clarify anything.
Sean, was that clear for you? Great.
Awesome. Just speak up when you think you've got your list, Sean, okay?
How big do you think the list should be?
It can be as big or as small as you like. This is completely personal to you. So if you've only got like one or two things, that's absolutely fine. If you've got about 20 things, that is also absolutely fine. So like I said, you want to look at things that interest you and things that don't interest you. So you've got two lists going on at the moment. Do you need me to flip between slides, or are you okay at the moment?
Yeah, if you can pop to the next slide, that'd be great.
Absolutely. There you go.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, there are only a couple of things, but I think that's what I'll.
That's perfect. If you've had a little think and written down, do you mind sharing with them with me? So, for example, do you want to tell me what you've got in your work interest column?
So I put down, or should I share my screen or?
If you want to just read them to me, that's
Okay.
fine.
Work interest, I've said use of technology,
Fantastic.
Great.
and so looking at people's opinions,
Okay, that's
um,
great.
influencing people's opinions,
Yeah.
working in a team, and getting a chance to like persuade people.
Oh,
To
fantastic.
work disinterests, or I mean, a bit vice versa to that.
Yeah,
Working alone, I've
Mm.
said physical tasks. I don't
yeah,
want to be doing physical tasks.
yeah,
Inflexibility, I'd like to be flexible in what I'm doing.
Mm.
I don't want to stick to one thing. I
yeah,
have to do it that way. I want to be able to do things my way.
yeah.
And I don't want to deal with like lots and lots of data to just give so much stress on the person.
Yeah.
Mm.
Flexibility and yeah.
Yeah, no, that is absolutely fantastic.
Mhm.
That is a brilliant list. I'm really interested. I was just jotting down some idea from what you said, and I know it can seem like, oh well, my work disinterests are just the opposite of my interests, but there are some things that you can see that aren't necessarily the opposite, and it's actually good to always keep your work disinterest in mind. Like for example, you like working in a big team, but you don't want to sort of be working alone, so you by the sounds of it, you'd thrive to be like in the center of the action. So when you're applying for a job, one of the things you might want to look out for is on a job description, it might have this is a team of 10 people and this is X, X, and X. And so you're going to be like, okay, that sounds really cool. It's a nice big team. And you might want to avoid jobs where it says, this is a team of 2 and you might be working alone a lot. So what I'm trying to get across here is that actually having this list might seem really obvious, but it's actually really good because when you start applying for work, it's easier for you to pick out things in job specs and interviews and even looking at companies about what is going to appeal to you and sort of make it easier to focus on what you want. So this is a really, really great start. We're now going to move on to the next slide. Do you have any questions about sort of work interests and work disinterests?
Not really, no.
I have a quick question before we do move on. Is there anything on your list that surprises you? Like, do you have a work interest that you've sort of gone, I would have, maybe have put that on my list? Or is there anything on your work interest that you'd be like, that is my number one? If I had to pick my number one work interest for me, what would it be?
I don't think I was really surprised.
Yeah,
I'd like to work in a team. I'd like to do
yeah,
things. I'd like to talk to people. I'd
yeah.
like to influence them, and I'd like to bring change.
That's fantastic. No, that's absolutely brilliant. What if you had to pick one? What would be your number one priority you must have in a job?
Um, Can I say flexibility?
Yeah, absolutely. Flexibility is a big key thing.
Mhm.
Having that flexibility in a job is really, really key. I know that's something that I definitely look for when I'm looking for a job.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was just going to quickly interject and say
Yeah.
flexibility is brilliant. That the way in which, like, for example, the Cystic Fibrosis Trust works is we have flexi time, which so that's the policy for which is applies to every single staff member. Everyone has the right to be able to kind of choose their hours that kind of fits in with their lifestyle and with their whether it's because you've got kids or whether it's because you have CF and you have to manage your CF alongside coming to work. And also we have the option to work from home whenever you want, which again is universal to everyone that works at the office. And since and I'm not someone with CF, but I'm someone who has other requirements and other needs. And since having this job in particular, it's been one of the most sort of nice, really most kind of caring work environments, and I feel very much like cared about by my employer. I was going to say employee. So it's it and I'm actually able to engage with the work and be a much more productive worker, because I feel like I can ask for anything that I need. If I say I need to work from home today because I'm not feeling particularly well, then that's fine. Or if I need to pick my hours, then that's fine. So I think flexibility is huge, and it definitely helps a lot of people, and particularly people with CF. I can see how it can be incredibly beneficial to have flexi time.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I was going to give a very similar example. Again, people need flexible time for a myriad of reasons, whether it's health related or whether it's their home circumstance with children. For example, I'm a carer, so sometimes I need to, drop things and like move my day around so I can be a bit more flexible at home. So there is you'll quickly find in the workplaces that you're not going to be alone with like wanting like desirable like flexi time. Actually, some employers even prefer it, especially if you've got like an international business. Having someone on slightly later hours or coming in slightly earlier so they can leave earlier can really benefit them as well. Cool. Right. Any questions before we move on? Are we all good? Big thumbs up.
Yep.
Big thumbs up. Fantastic. Okay. What we're going to look next at is your values. Now, what we mean by values is, so we sort of looked at what interests you in work, like you mentioned, flexibility, working in a big team, influencing people. What your values are is the things that are important to you. So again, like, these are sort of a bit more vague. So we looked at quite specific, like I want to be part of a team. Your values are sort of what are important to you and what excites you, if that makes sense. So we're just going to look at a few categories. So for example, this is like a task related. So for example, you want a challenge, you value achievement, variety, routine, change. Some people value stress because some people are crazy. I'm joking. Then you've got values in terms of people. So this is like affiliation, belonging, friendship, enabling in others. And then you've got the less good things like people, humiliation. Some people are into that. Ridicule, confrontation, isolation. Again, some people like to be isolated from other people. Some people don't. The next section we're looking at is sort of your values in terms of career. So this can be your position in a company, your access to people, opportunity in your career, success, autonomy, so your ability to work on your own and stuff like that. And the last section of values we're going to look at is lifestyle. So this could be your work-life balance. So it is, for example, some people like having a really good work-life balance and having that very even. Some people are very focused on just their work and, a bit of a workaholic, like working a long time. There's independence, and then there's health, which is a big thing, as you'll know, with your lifestyle and looking after that and managing that. So what we're going to do next is we want two lists. I want values that you want to move towards. For example, I want to move towards having a challenge. I really value my career autonomy, being able to work on my own. So those are values that I want to move towards. Those are values that I want to have. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay, awesome. And then on your second list, you're going to write down some values that you want to move away from. So, for example, I want to move away from stress and boredom and uncertainty. Now, again, this isn't an exhaustive list. This is just to give you some ideas. You might have something completely different, and that's absolutely okay. So this is just to give you some ideas. So we're going to spend just a few minutes jotting down the values you want to move towards, the values you want to have, things that are really important to you, and then the values you want to leave behind. Don't want any of that, none of that stuff. Is that all cool? Mm-hmm. Woohoo! Right, 5 minutes on the clock. And again, as many or as little as you want. And while you're doing that, I might just start chatting away about why this is important. Okay?
Sure.
Right, awesome. If it's annoying while you're writing, do say, but I'll just carry on. The reason why it's important to also, so I know we talked about work interests and disinterests, and it's about having that time to sort of really reflect on where you want to go in your career and actually to understand where, like, what sort of what career path to take. Like if you're interested in engineering, if you want to work with people. So, for example, you might want to become like an engineering teacher, or become a professional like Google Plus, like this is how the Google technology works presenter. But what's important about your values is actually understanding about what a job might entail, and also about the company and what you value in yourself. So, for example, if you're aware of a job that might be very high stress situation, it's going to be very fast paced. If you look at your values and actually what you want, and if you know that actually being in a high stress situation isn't what you want, then you know that actually maybe this isn't the job for you. And that's really, really important, because to get a job that you're happy with, you have to make sure that your values are recognized. If you, like I said, if you end up in a job where you're not being creatively challenged, or there's no variety, and actually those are like your priority values in yourself, then you've got to start thinking, well, do I feel valued here? Do I feel I'm happy in this job? Do I need to maybe reassess and actually find something where my values are reflected? So this is why this stage is important, because although it's very important, like I said, you've got to sit, you've got to reflect about where you want to go, but then you've also got to think about, well, are my values also reflected in that job? You've got to find there's so many jobs out there. You've got to find something that interests you, and you've got to find something where your values are reflected. So that's why we're sort of looking at this. I'll stop chatting at you now and actually let you have a little think. And if you've got any questions, just say hello.
I mean, I think I've made a sort of
You all done?
work.
Oh, sorry, my sound's gone. Hang on.
Can you hear us?
Aha, yes, I can. Fantastic. Sean, did you say you're nearly done?
I'd say I have a list which should work, yeah.
You're all done? Sorry, your sound's gone a little bit, so I can't quite hear you. I can hear you, Baha. Can you hear Sean, Baha?
I can hear Sean.
Okay, it must be my sound this end, don't worry. Hello?
Hello?
Hello. So I think my headphones have just gone, so I'm just going to have you on loudspeaker. If you start having trouble with the audio, let me know, and I'll just quickly duck out and get a new pair of headphones. Okay? Okay, awesome. So, Sean, if you want to kick off, do you want to tell me what some of your values that you want to move towards are?
I mean, so I said that values
Sorry, just to quickly say, it might be best if you quickly pop off and get some headphones, just because I don't know if Sean, if you can hear that, but I can hear a lot of the feedback.
That's okay. I've got a second pair of headphones waiting in the wings. Let me try these.
Okay, no worries.
Can you hear me now?
Yep,
Hello?
we can hear you.
Fantastic. Right, this is a bit clearer.
Can you hear Sean?
Sean, do you want to speak up for me for a second?
No.
Ah, yes, I can hear you. Right, sorry guys, technical difficulties, all my fault.
It always happens, don't worry.
Yeah.
Right, sorry, let's go again. Sean, do you want to tell me about the values you're moving towards?
I said that values that I'd like to have as an employee and have in a work environment, that people work as a team.
Yeah.
And that the employees aren't just like segregated. You do your task, you do your task. It's all working as a team, and there's a bit of challenge and a bit of variety. Not just doing one task which would become tedious. Just a bit of challenge, a bit of variety, and a bit
Change.
of flexibility, as I mentioned.
Yeah.
Doing things your way, not doing things in one way.
Fantastic.
Having some creativity, having a chance to do different things in the company and show what you can do as a member of the company. Just some
Awesome.
autonomy, I'd say.
Autonomy,
I'd like to
great.
have, because I'd like to be able to do what I want, and I'd like to be able to give some ideas and to have some power and control
Yeah.
in the company to be able to have a proper say. Because
Yeah.
I mean, in companies at the moment, if you're a smaller member of a team,
Yeah.
you're basically, unfortunately, many are just disregarded.
Yeah.
But there needs to be some sort of. I'd like to have an input. I'd like to have a say in what I'm doing. And I'd like to have opportunity to do many different things.
Okay, that's fantastic.
Amazing.
That's great. Okay. There was lots of things there that I've written down, like challenge, variety, change, flexibility, creativity, autonomy, power, control, having a say, having a voice in a large group. If I said you had to pick your top 3 values, what would they be? Have a little think. Don't worry. I'm throwing a lot of hard questions at you, I'm afraid.
I'd say flexibility goes first.
That's a great one. Flexibility.
I'd like a lack of isolation.
I love that's we'll move on. We'll come back to that in a minute. We'll focus on the ones you want to move, like the real positive ones that you really want. So you don't want isolation. We'll come to that later. That's sort of the have not list.
I'd like to be able to have some autonomy.
Autonomy. Yeah, great.
Be able to have a say.
Having a say. Yeah, brilliant. Okay. So they're sort of like your top ones. Having the flexibility, having a voice, having a chance to have your say, and like flexibility. There's flexibility number and autonomy even, sorry. Great, they're fantastic. So when you're looking at work, those are sort of the top 3 you want to keep in your mind. So right, these are what is really, really important to you, that like you have that flexibility, that you're able to have your say, and that you have autonomy. Cool. Right, so you've already mentioned isolation. I was going to say, can you tell me about your list of values that you don't want? So you don't want to be isolated.
I mean, my full list is just, I don't want stress.
No, great, good one. Having less stress is always good.
I don't want to be bored by what I'm doing. I don't want to be doing tedious tasks all day.
Yep.
I want to be able to do something that I enjoy doing.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be controlled by others. And I want to have a say.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. So you don't want to be isolated, you don't want to be bored, you don't want to be controlled. You really want to have freedom, and you don't really want to be in really high stress situations, and you don't want anything too tedious, too repetitive. Maybe you like change, excitement, and a challenge.
Yeah,
fantastic. Okay, so reflecting on this, what's really important, what's really clear is that. There's a really strong theme in your values about you wanting, like I said, flexibility, autonomy. You don't want to be controlled. You want to be able to. It's really important that you're able to have your say, and you're very wanting variety and challenge, and that's really good. So again, when you start looking for work, that is something that maybe is at the top of your list that you're thinking. Like, so if you're interviewing with someone, just ask them, "Hi, what challenges are there to this job? How autonomous can I be? What sort of variety is there? Is there any sort of repetitive tasks aspects to this job? Does that make sense?" Yeah. So that's really great. So again, these are things that are really important to you, and to have a job that you really love, you should make sure that those are like your number 1 priorities. Do you have any questions before we sort of move away from values? Yeah, you're all good? No. Awesome. So just to tie it together, what we've quickly looked, because I know this is very reflective and can be quite dense. We've got a list of your work interests. So you really like working in a team. You really want to have lots of flexibility and sort of the use of technology and sort of looking at our values again. Sort of flexibility has come up, but it's really important that you're challenged and that you can have your say and you're autonomous. And like the things we want to sort of move away from in the workplace is, again, working alone. That's again reflecting your values. You don't want to be isolated, you don't want to be bored, you don't want anything too tedious or repetitive. So that's where we're at. We've again, I don't think anything by the sounds of it that's cropped up that you're not too surprised by. So that's really, really good. So we'll look on. We're on the last section of sort of the self-reflection. So next up, what I want to do is for you to take 5 minutes just to list all your strengths. Now, this can seem really, really daunting because it's so easy to be so self-critical, to be like, well, I don't have any strengths. But that's complete nonsense. Everyone has got strengths. In fact, people have probably loads of strengths and they don't even realize it. So take 5 minutes to yourself and just jot down as many as you can. If you're struggling right now, don't panic. We can always come back to this later. My advice is, if you're struggling to think of any strengths, is go away and talk to some friends, talk to some members of your family, or talk to your teachers, and just ask them, hi, I'm just sort of, trying to, writing out some lists and thinking about, work, and I just want to sort of write out some of my strengths. And ask them what they think your strengths are, because your friends, your family, your teachers, they are going to be able, they can spot your strengths a million miles off when we are too critical of ourselves. So do the best as you can on your own, but if you do find a bit of a struggle, don't panic. We can always come back to this later, come back to it, have a little chat with people that you know in like a week or so, and go from there. So Sian, just have a little write and think about your strengths. Just come up with as many as you can, and then we'll have a look at them. Now, while you're writing that down, I'll just sort of say why this is really, really important. You will constantly, in interviews, on application forms, everywhere you'll go, they'll be like, so tell me about your strengths, or what are you good at? Why should I employ you over someone else? So it's always good to have these at the top of your head. And not only, for selling yourself, but it's also important to understand your strengths in terms of when you're looking for a job, because play to your strengths. If, again, looking at your values, you shouldn't have a job that doesn't reflect your values. In the same way, you shouldn't end up in a job that doesn't play to your strengths, because to really succeed in what you love, you should, one, again, the first part where we looked at, make sure that your area of work that you're interested in. Two, that job reflects your personal values and what you want. And third of all, your strengths. You should be able to play to your strengths. You'll succeed better in your job if you're able to, for example, if you're really compassionate and you're really communicative, just be able to play to those strengths. You'll be better and you'll feel more confident in what you can do. So it's good to just list out what those are and sort of know what you're working towards.
Yeah, this came up when we were talking about university applications and kind of writing a personal statement, and it's a similar sort of process in which you have to talk about like your strengths. You have to talk about why it is that like you want to be on this course, and why it is that you want this university to accept you. And one of the things that the person who's delivering the workshop on personal statement said is that in your personal statement, you have the opportunity to talk about the fact that you're someone with cystic fibrosis who is managing medication daily, is managing physio daily, and on top of all that, being able to balance that with other interests and other aspects of your life, and that those are strengths, and those are also things you have to think about in terms of like how has that made you sort of. In terms of that, how has that kind of helped like you to kind of be more better at organizing yourself? How have you organized yourself, and what are the things that you have like skills you've actually like picked up by virtue of having to sort of do that daily? So I think those can definitely be thought of as strengths as well.
That's fantastic. I think that's absolutely nail on the head. I think, again, it's so easy to be to overlook what your strengths are, and like even in that example you've just demonstrated about 5 or 6 strengths just from like that alone, and then how you can work that into how you are and what you do is really important. So awesome.
And also it's thinking about turning things from, like, I guess,
Yes.
a lot of people sort of can be quite, so I'm quite negative about myself. I'm very insecure. I can be quite an insecure person. A lot of people can be. People find it very difficult to not be very self-critical.
Absolutely.
But you can kind of turn things that you think might be negative into positive. So, like, for example, for a long time I was convinced that I was, too emotional or too, I get like very overwhelmed with things, but actually it's because of the fact that I'm someone who is very compassionate and I care about the people around me. So that's why, and so I'm, I try to play to my strengths and think about, and that's how I've ended up in a position like I am in now, doing working in the charity sector, because it means I actually have an opportunity to utilize that kind of compassion and care for other people into something, positive, and put it to good use. So I think, think about even things that you think that might not be necessarily like that you might not necessarily see as a good thing or as a strong, like, think about how that actually can be utilized and applied in the big world.
That is a fantastic example. Thank you so much, Baha. That is absolutely right. I mean, like I said, I don't think there's anything you can't put a positive spin on. And as I like to say, even if you can't think anything right now, fake it till you make it. There is, you can turn anything into a positive. And like you said, your compassion is fantastic. And the fact that you're able to use that and channel that and work into this great cause is, that's just brilliant. And this is what we want to do. We want to sort of look at what your values are, look at what your strengths are, and make sure that we're working towards a job where you can really utilize those, and like you can make such a big difference. And that's what's great. Cool. Right, Sean, how is your list coming on?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah? Doing a few more minutes?
Or if you want to do it now, I'll do it now.
Oh, no, you carry on. The world's your oyster.
I will give you what I've done so far.
Okay, awesome.
People have said that I'm strong at speaking.
Yeah.
And
I definitely agree with that.
Absolutely. I can vouch for that as well.
And so I was in the team. So my school got into the top 3 for round 1 of the Urban Debate League.
Oh, Urban Debate League. Fantastic. Yeah, I like the Urban Debate League.
Yeah, and sort of my school got into the top 3.
Awesome.
So people said I was strong at debating, I'm strong at speaking, and people have said that I've strong opinion. People say that's a strength. I don't know whether that's a strength.
It is. That is absolutely a strength.
But they say I have strong opinions and I stand up for what I believe in.
That's very important. That's a fantastic strength.
And I've also sort of thought about what Baha was saying, or with CF. I'd say CF has made me more responsible. I deal with things in life and stuff, but you have to be responsible. You have to manage everything, and so I think CF's made me more responsible, and I think that's a strength.
That absolutely is a strength. That's fantastic. This is brilliant. These are absolutely fantastic strengths. So public speaking, we have standing up for what you believe in. That is 100% a strength. There are so many people who they might have a strong opinion, but might not have the courage to stand up and speak out for what they believe in. So that is a fantastic strength to have. I'd also put courageous down in that as well, because it's a type of courage, being able to like stand up for what you believe in. So that's fantastic. And I also like the examples about being very with your CF, being more responsible and how you manage every day. Would you say maybe organised as well? Because you have to sort of...
I don't know whether I'm organised. I tend to lose things like at least once a week. So.
That's okay. We all misplay stuff from time to time. But no, that's a really fantastic list. So again, what we're slowly building up here, again, so on your original list, I asked you just to jot down right at the very beginning, was you sort of mentioned that you want a career in journalism maybe, and you've sort of said you want to like And then in your work interest, you said you wanted to have like a use of technology, working in like a big team and persuading people. Again, that is really good things for journalism, because when you're writing articles and you're writing on something that's important, you want to persuade people to your point of view. So that's really, really good. And if we look at your values again, you're sort of looking at like flexibility, autonomy, and having your say. And that also feeds into sort of journalism as well. Is this feeding back? Can everyone hear me okay?
Yep, I can hear you.
Awesome. And again, having your say, like I said, if you want to be a journalist, it's so important that you're able to get across what you think, what you say. And again, it's very autonomous and there's lots of flexibility. And if we look at your strengths, again, you're sort of managing every day, strong opinions, speaking up. Again, this all sort of feeds into like, that journalism and writing. And so that's all really, really great. So again, there's the things that you want to sort of focus on. And we've now the last little bit of self-reflection is we're now going to look at barriers. So what I mean by barriers is is there anything like you personally, for example, can you be a bit negative, or are you a bit, irresponsible? Like, for example, if you're working in a government, you shouldn't like misplace like confidential data, that sort of thing. So what I want you to just spend a few seconds now is just thinking about is being being quite self-critical, because it's what you have to do is sort of think about the things that do actually kind of hold you back, those barriers. So for example, I know that I can be a bit sloppy sometimes with my spelling. So I'm aware that when it comes to proofreading documents, I have to be extra disciplined and double check it. So this is more of a case of knowing what might cause you to stumble in the workplace. And it's just knowing what your barriers are and making sure that you have little routines, little tricks and tips to help you overcome them. So this isn't a negative. This is just being aware that we all have them. We all have little things that we're not very good at. So just write a list. Doesn't have to, if it's just one thing or two things, just sort of reflect, think about yourself, and actually, okay, well, I'm not very good at this. And again, this is just a suggested list. Feel free to write whatever you like. Baha, what would you say? Do you have any barriers?
Do I have any barriers?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'll give you mine in a minute.
Well, do you want to go first, and then I'll go?
I'll go first.
Caught me off guard.
That's what I always do. So like I said, I would say I'm definitely sloppy. So I am dyslexic. So I find spelling really hard. So I know that when I'm doing a big document, that I have to allow myself an extra day or an extra hour to double check it. So everything's correct and it's nothing, nothing's wrong. Another barrier that I have as well is that I can be really negative about myself. And that is a barrier for me, because I'm constantly telling myself, no, I can't do something. And actually that's not true, that I'm super capable, I can do whatever I want. And it's just about being aware of those negative thoughts that can occur sometimes. So sometimes you just have to be like, no, that's my brain being silly. Of course I can do this. Don't stress it. So there's some examples where I like my barriers, and it's just, again, like I said, it's being aware of how to overcome them.
Yeah, cool. I also I'm also dyslexic as well, so
team dyslexia.
So that's definitely a barrier, and I guess I can be very I can be quite unsure of myself and second guess myself a lot of the time, and it takes I guess the way that I've been able to overcome it has been actually working in a team with people who are very encouraging.
Fantastic.
Having someone say like, "Oh, that's a great piece of work you've just done," like makes a world of difference, and it's always like a little surprise. I'm like, "Oh, I thought I was bombing hard. I thought I was terrible," and then it's like, no, actually, so it's so that's been really great.
Awesome. That's been great. How are you getting on with your list, Shan?
So I've done 3 or 4 things.
That's good. That's good. Right. Hit me up. What are they?
Well, first of all, I'd say I get stressed in stressy situations.
Yeah.
So, like when I'm doing classwork and stuff, My teacher said very good classwork. I get everything done, and I do things to a very high quality. But then when I'm in an exam hall, then if you look at my examinations, like I often run out of time and I haven't written enough, and I start writing so slowly. I spend too much time thinking about something. I just get overstressed and oh my god, what am I going to do now? What should I write about? And I should just relax and think about what you're going to write, and just do it.
So that's a fantastic example. So do you have any like mechanisms in place to help you deal with that situation? So, like, for example, when you go into that exam hall, do you do any, if you feel yourself getting stressed out, do you do any like breathing, like deep breath in, deep breath out, or counting to 10, or anything like that to sort of like try and calm your mind?
Not really, no.
Well, there's a little tip for you there. So, for example, when I get really, really stressed, it's very, there's something in your mind called like your working memory and your working brain. And when you get stressed, your like working memory can get really filled up and really chaotic, and it can block. So what you need to do is just calm it down, try and empty it. And a really great way to do that is taking like a deep breath and sort of counting to 10, or just, you know, trying to empty your mind for a few seconds, and then attacking the question again. So that's just a little like, that's what I do in stressful situations, or like when I'm getting a bit panicked. So there you go. That's just something for you to think about. So that's something how you could overcome that barrier. What other barriers have you got?
I'd say I'm a bit sluggish as well.
That's okay.
I write a bit slowly and I get tired easily, so I can be a bit sluggish when I'm doing work, and people say, "Oh, you're slacking," but I get tired.
But that's okay. We all get tired.
Yeah, and it's also important to go at your own pace. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
You know, like it doesn't matter if people are saying to you, "Oh, you're slow," maybe it's like, well, maybe you guys are just going too fast.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. I completely agree. We all have days like that anyway. And like I said, as long as you're going at your own pace and you've managed your time, then ignore other people. As long as you're, like I said, it's about quality, not quantity, if that makes sense. As long as your work and like when you're done is at the quality that it needs to be, then take your time to make sure it's perfect, rather than rushing it and it not being as good as you need it to be. Cool. What else have you got? What was that?
I can be a bit chaotic, so I can go this idea, this idea, this idea. I just start throwing ideas out, and I don't really focus on one thing. And
okay, awesome. So, how would you might overcome when you have like a chaotic moment?
Focus on one thing, I guess that's what you should do.
Well, okay, here's an idea. Here's a little tip. When you're having 101 ideas, just take 5 minutes out, write them all down as quick, like, you know, as you go, like, write this idea, this idea, this idea, and then focus one at a time then. Because, like, absolutely, if you're having 101 ideas, that's brilliant. But like I said, if you just write them down and then come back to them, then you can focus in on them individually. So that's just one, like, again, there's 100 different ways you could like tackle these barriers. These are just some of the ones off the top of my head. Baha might have different examples or anything, but yeah, so this is just some ways for you to reflect on, just to be aware of what might stop you from achieving your best. So does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Right.
People have also said, if you want to carry on, or
oh no, please carry on, please.
People have said I can be a bit short-sighted, so I look on one opinion, but I don't look at different opinions, and sort of like during the work experience, I got into I sort of debated with the other guy. No, I think this is a better idea. That's the other idea. And then, like, on Monday, I got into a political argument. And he was like, "Oh, I support the Conservatives," and blah, blah, blah. And so people have said that I can be short-sighted, and I don't look at other opinions as much as I should do.
Sounds more
Well,
like you're passionate than short-sighted.
yeah, I was going to say, I wouldn't necessarily say you're short-sighted. I would say you're passionate and you're speaking for what you believe in. And maybe that guy was just disagreeing with you and trying to dismiss you. So I would ignore that one. But that might not be the right advice. But say you was worried that you wasn't seeing all the opinions. You could also maybe, so for example, in that case, you might want to read like a conservative paper or a conservative news website. And next time they say that, you can say, well, actually, I read this and I disagree with it because of this. So, but yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about that one. It sounds like you're really passionate and interested in politics and what you're interested in.
Yeah.
And like you said, if people accuse you of that, just say, well, actually, I've read this as well, and I'm still right, so no.
Can I not just say the Daily Mail is the Daily Mail?
I personally would agree with you.
Yeah, no, you're 100% correct.
Yeah.
The Daily Mail is nonsense, I'm afraid. And do you have any other barriers you want to talk about? If not, you've got a nice little 10-minute break coming up because you've done so well. So I just want to say thank you. I know this has been a really intense first hour. The second half shouldn't be as intense, but do you want to just do a quick reflection? Do you want to just quickly tell me about what your work interests are, what your values are, what your strengths are, and then sort of tell me about how you want to, how that would relate to the job you want in the future.
So I've said my work interests are sort of technology and looking at people's opinions, influencing people's opinions, working in a team and persuading. So I like giving my opinions and I like to voice myself. My disinterests were working alone, doing like really labor physical tasks because I'm not very good at them and I get tired very easily. And
that's fair enough.
I don't like inflexibility. I like to do things my way. I like to get things done, but I like to try and explore. Oh, maybe this could be a better way. Maybe this could be a better way. I don't just stick to some like regime. Do this, do this, do this. I like some flexibility. I just don't want to deal with like an over-controlling person on like an over-controlling employer. I want to be able to do what I want to do. I'd like to work in a team and I'd like some challenge and variety and again be flexible in doing what I do. I'd like to be creative and do different things. I'd like some autonomy, I'd like some power and control. I'd like different opportunities.
Great.
The type of values I don't want to be burdened with stress and boredom, and I don't want to be controlled by others, and I don't want to be by myself. I don't want to be isolated. I want to be doing different things. And I've said my strengths are I'm strong at speaking.
Yep, definitely.
I'm passionate about things, and I have some willpower. I'm responsible because I've had to be responsible with maintaining everything, etc.
Yeah.
I'm confident at doing things, and people say I stand up for what I believe in.
Yeah.
Strong opinions, and
fantastic.
people say that's strength. The weakness, when I get stressed, I get very stressed. I need to try to not go into a vicious cycle of stress and calm down and do the task ahead of you. Not be all chaotic. Just focus on one thing and try not to do it too slowly. Don't be a bit too sluggy. Do it in a moderate pace so you don't get too tired, but don't do it so that you're not producing any work.
Fantastic. So this is a question you can answer now or think about over the break. But if you was interviewing, now you sort of know your values and what interests you. What sort of questions might you ask an employer? Does that make sense? So like, is this a big team? Or I really value autonomy. Will I have much autonomy here? So just think about some questions that you might ask an employer in the next 10-minute break. And then when we catch up, we'll just hear what they are. So what we're going to do is next, we're now going to look at some job sites. So what the first half was about reflecting on what you wanted, what sort of job you'd want, so what your values are, etc. So now you should have a clear idea of what you're heading towards. Okay, so the next stage is where do I find jobs? like I said, do they grow on trees? Do I get a megaphone and stand outside saying, someone employ me, please? You need to start somewhere. So here are some really good job sites. So I'm just going to take a quick look at them. Look through the website just to show you the layout. They're all really quite similar, just to make you familiar. If you've got any questions, just say. So the first website we're going to look at is Monster. But actually, before I continue, do you know of any job websites apart from Monster?
I've seen ads for Indeed.
Indeed, yeah.
And I've seen ads for Reed.
Reed, yeah, great one.
That's probably the only two I've heard of.
No, that's fantastic. So I'll just so there's Monster, Prospects, Milk Round, Target Jobs, Reed, the one you mentioned. There's LinkedIn. You've got Graduate Jobs as well. Again, I've not actually got Indeed on this list, but Indeed is a really, really good one. And actually, I thought I had put it on this list, so my apologies. So what we're going to do first is just have a little click through to these websites and have a little gander. Right. Can you all see my screen?
Yep.
So, hello.
Oh,
Hi.
That was me.
Okay, so what I really want to show you as well is not only is this are these websites a really great place for looking for jobs, but I just want to show you a few of the other features they have. So here you've got obviously the find a job. So you've got advanced searches, browse jobs, popular jobs, jobs by industry, jobs by location. And if you just scroll down, so you could type in like engineering or sales, and then you can select a city. And I'll look at the advanced search later. There's also stuff you can just search by region, search by industry, search by company, search by salary. So there's lots of different ways that you can search for a job. Okay, so again, that can be quite daunting, but it's actually a really good way to break it down because, like I said, if you just typed in engineering, so much will come up. So it's all about refining your job search. So that is just generally like how to find jobs and how to break it down. Again, I'll look at advanced search later. What I just want to show you is actually some really great other features that websites can have about browse career advice. So these websites aren't just websites for looking for jobs. Actually, if you want any advice or someone to talk to, like communities, like there's graduate commuting, IT, manufacturing, tech talent. This is a really great resource for that as well. So what do we have here under career resources? We've got know your rights for a true career confidence, top 5 salary tips, average salary information in the UK. I know you was just talking about the wage gap, and you sort of looked it up for your school, gender wage gap. And again, if that's something that you're interested in, sort of checking out what average salaries are. You've got CV templates here. Again, is a great place to go to start building up your CV. I know we're going to talk about CVs next week. And also the Cystic Fibrosis Trust are running a CV service. And if you want to sign up for that, just speak to Baha or Holly, just email them and they'll be able to add you to that. What else do we have here? So we've got planning a job search. So if you're looking for a job, career options even, job advice by industry. So again, you've mentioned that you're sort of into journalism. So, this is all about engineering jobs. You also mentioned you want to work in technology. So, if you're interested in technology behind cars, go here. Chief engineer at Aston Martin. Top 5 engineering projects in the UK. So again, this is a really great place to actually look around jobs when you're starting looking, and actually it's a really great resource for like prepping for interviews. So say, I'm really interested in, being a mechanic or working with cars, read the interview with this Matt Becker. He might have something that you can bring up at your interview and it will just make you stand out. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Awesome. So you can also upload, if you've got a CV, you can upload it to these websites. And what that does is that people who are searching for, say you're a journalist and I'm looking for a creative writer for a TV show or a journalist, they can sort of search through CVs and they might get in touch saying, hi, I've got a job for you. What's really great here as well is if you're looking for a particular company, you can look them up and see what jobs they've got going, about them and where they're based. So for example, Monster, you can click view job openings. So let's name a company.
So I've just quickly popped in mine and Holly Ray's email address on the side, just if you want to have a little look at it later in case. I mean, I know you have it shown already, but if anyone's watching, or if anyone's going to rewatch this, it's on the side. If people want to like show messages, then you can see that.
Awesome. Cool. Hello.
Sorry, you can carry on. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Hello. Cool. So let's just have a little look at what a job search looks like. So what's great about a lot of these websites, it'll be very similar across each of them. So let's think of a company. Who do we want to look up? Look at the BBC, maybe. BBC. There's no company. The BBC doesn't exist.
The Guardian?
Guardian, that might be a good one. Oh gosh. Okay, how about maybe someone like Next? All right, we're not having any luck with these examples, but this is a really good place to search for a company. Let's see if they've got. This might be more technology based, and this might not be quite appropriate, but these are a really good place to look. So look, you can also, like I said, we can look at charity jobs in Manchester. Charity Street fundraiser. So this is what a job search will look like, and you can refine it in different ways. So nearby cities, job title, like I want to be a fundraising manager. Have a look for St John's Ambulance. There we go. And this is just a bit about the role, a bit more of a job summary here, a bit about you, and there, and how to apply. So cool. Right. So if we're finding a job, you can do an advanced search. So, for example, say I wanted to be a HR manager. Let's go for HR coordinator. Companies. You could add a company. So you could say, I want to work for John Lewis. You can type in a location like London and then just select it. And so this is basically just for more advanced searches, so you can be more specific. So this is if you really want to, like, I only want to work like temporary, or I want a part-time contract, and that's just so you can really narrow down your search. And then I'll just clear all that. So that is really basic how to do an advanced search. You can do popular jobs, driver jobs, an overview of what that is. For those of you who enjoy driving, etc., etc. So there is so much here that you can look at. So, like, if you want to, you might start thinking about maybe doing a retail job or a part-time job, like because you'll be doing your GCSEs.
Yep.
This might be something for you to look at to get into. Goodbye, Monster. So that's Monster. Is there anything on here you want to have? Do you have any questions about, or you want to look at in more detail?
Not really, no.
No, perfect, awesome. So I will just bring you back down here. Prospects, again, is pretty similar. So this was really great because it's got a quiz you can take to match your skills and personality to job profiles if you're not sure. This has got some really good stuff for postgraduate study, career advice. So this is more for after university, so probably not as applicable to you, but just know this is a really good website to do. Again, it's got how to get a job, what can I do with my degree, and stuff like that. Next website. Oh, my computer has crashed. Hang on. Sorry, my PowerPoint has just crashed. Sorry, guys.
That's all right.
Let's try that one last time.
Oh, so you have all 6 weeks ready on the desktop.
I do. I'm very yeah. You can also enjoy my other sort of interesting life, Spotify, and that's about it.
SimCity.
And my CV, yeah.
No, SimCity. I said Sims 4.
Oh, SimCity. Oh yeah, no, that's way more interesting.
I'm a massive fan of Sims 4. I would love to get paid to just play Sims 4 all day. I would make a lot of money doing that.
That'd be a great job.
Yeah, and you get to like basically like lord over people in the Sim world, and get to be like the god of your own world. It's perfect.
Oh, I love it. Okay. Anyway, let's see if my computer crashes one last time. Where was we? So, like I was saying, Milk Round and Perspectives are very good for like postgraduate work. And it really can tell you like really help you out with what your degree. I think that's a bit far in the future for you, so don't worry about that too much. But Target Jobs again, this is a really good one. Oh, please don't crash. Well done, computer, clever thing. So again, this is sort of this is looking at like graduate jobs, but there's also internships here, which is something that you actually might want to start thinking about. It's never too early to start thinking about an internship over a summer or getting placements and work experience. I know as you said, you're doing work experience at the moment. And again, I hope you're enjoying what you're doing, but you never know, you might be able to find something in journalism or, something that you're really passionate about. And again, it looks so good on your CV. And when you start applying for university or whatever that you're doing after school, it looks so good on like personal statements that you've gone out and got different experience in different areas. So again, this is a really great place to sort of start looking. So you've got like summer internship as a software developer. And again, you can really refine your search here. So you could search by organisation or job role. Here you can do like most relevant by keyword, publish date, application deadline. So that's really good. So if something's closing soon, you know that you have to reply to that one first. Another really good tip when it comes to job hunting or looking for internships or anything with a deadline, always double check when that deadline is and organise the applications you're writing for with that deadline in mind. Don't spend, 4 days on a deadline that's 2 months away if you've got a deadline that week and you've only spent half an hour on it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Awesome. And you can break it down again about refining that search for opportunity to type insights program, internship placements, choose a career sector. So let's say we're looking for an internship. And we want to, what should we do an internship in, guys? Should we do engineering, finance, healthcare, hospitality? Oh, HR. Oh, exciting HR. Let's look at hospitality and leisure. So we've got an India business and travel program. We've got a Madrid program for the intern group, travel researchers, review writers. That might be quite interesting. Oh, here we go. We've got youth support worker, summer internship for the National Citizen Service. So yeah, again, it's all about breaking down what you want and making it a bit more refined. And then again, you've got careers, and then so that's just internships. You've also got like career sectors, career advice. Again, most most good websites will have a careers advice section. And my advice is actually, honestly, to go through it, look at it, because you can never be too prepared or have too much knowledge. So acceptance and rejection, how to do CVs, international students, networking, we're going to touch more on later. Psychometric tests, this is really good. So much of a few job places now want you to do psychometric tests. So this is a little good resource here. Is there anything else you want to sort of look at again on this website while I'm here, or any other questions? No, good. It's very similar to the last one, but again, it is good to look because there is some interesting things. Like if you're looking for an internship or work placement, that's a really good place to start. Right. Oh, hang on. Come on, technology. I'll have a quick look at Reed as well. You mentioned Reed. So Reed is one that I actually use a lot. I find really, really good. I just like the interface, to be honest. So HR. London.
You'll find yourself a job.
I find myself, everyone sit down. Let's just find me a job. So but there's loads here, retail. Again, it's about refining it, etc., etc. So it just gives you a little bit of a blurb, and then you can just sort of click in. It's about the duties and stuff and how to click apply. So that's, again, really, all these websites are really, really similar, but it's good for us to just have a quick look at them. The last one I'm going to look at is LinkedIn. Have you ever used LinkedIn?
I mean, I've seen sort of.
Have you seen LinkedIn?
Yeah.
So LinkedIn is great. Everyone should. LinkedIn's a bit different from the other websites we've had, because LinkedIn, you have a profile, you connect with people, and there's actually just so much you can do. Like, people post, like, it almost like it's like a social media network more than the other websites. So because it is a social media network, you should be a bit more conscious as well as what information you have on there. So if you want to just have a quick look at my profile, if we just scroll down, so just be careful what you have around. Like, try to keep a photo professional. Don't have sunglasses in it, for example. When you write a summary of for example, so I've got work experience, but you might want to put your my work history even. You might want to put your work experience on there. Just describe sort of what they do, what you've done, and stuff like that. So this is what's really, really cool about LinkedIn. It is technically a social media as well as a really great tool for finding jobs. But it's also a great way with networking.
Yeah, it seems to be that it's a very good opportunity to showcase yourself, and to kind of put yourself out there and be like, this is the things that I've done, and this is and these are all my experiences. And often people actually get headhunted through LinkedIn. So people look for people through LinkedIn and kind of get approached. I mean, I certainly need to put up a LinkedIn profile, but I'm not very good with that kind of stuff. So.
But
I'll get there.
we're gonna look a bit more at LinkedIn later on, more of the personal profile side, what to write. But Baha is absolutely 100% correct. LinkedIn is a great way. So, like I said, because it's a social media, it's not just a great place for you to search for jobs. For example, here I've saved some jobs from earlier. You can just click apply later, etc. You can also search. I mean, there are everyone uses LinkedIn, so it is a really great way. So, say I was looking for BBC, worldwide, London, search, and then again it lists all the jobs there are. I think I'd be a really good head of business development. I think we can all agree.
Yep.
Potentially even digital and TV sales planner, but you know what? Let's not be too selfish. But it's a really good way to, again, this because really reputable and all the well-known companies use it. It's a really good place to get in. But also, if you want to, so this is searching for jobs, but you can also search for people. And as Baha said, companies. I often do something called a speculative search. So, for example, if I know that I want an account manager, I might type in account manager here. Account manager. If I go home. So if I type in, I'm looking for an account manager, and it will list just anyone with the job title for account manager. I can also narrow it down. So say I'm working in advertising, I'm looking for an account manager. I might name another advertising agency where someone works. So a really famous one, FCB Inferno. Here we go, apply. And then what it does is it tells, so I can see now, account manager at FCB Inferno. So what I might do is I might message him and say, hi, I've got a job for you. Would you be interested in coming talking to me? So again, that's why it's really, really important that your profile is professional, it's up to date, and as exciting as you can be, because you never know who's going to be looking. Do you have any questions about LinkedIn? I have kept this kind of vague, just sort of looking at how to apply for jobs, how you might show up in a search. And again, there is so much more to LinkedIn, but we're going to cover that in the last session. But also, if there's anything in particular about LinkedIn you do want to look at, let me know now. and I'll make sure I include it in the last session. Does that make sense?
Question. So, for example, I'm looking on your LinkedIn page. At the bottom it says like skills and endorsements.
Yeah.
This is endorsed by 2 of Daryl's colleagues at DebateMate.
Yes.
Or endorse. What is that? So can people endorse other people on LinkedIn?
Absolutely. So if I click here, so public speaking, if I click on it, you can see that who's endorsed me. So I can see that Sean Myers, who works at Sales Support Administrator at Law Business Research, he's endorsed my public speaking. Stephen Ellsworthy, so it's not just colleagues. Stephen Ellsworthy is my old college teacher from Alperton College. So that's something he's endorsed me. So yeah, what you can do is you can, if it's someone you've worked with, or it's really good for networking, says, right, I think you're very good at this, they can just endorse you and say, right, I think Daryl's very good at human resources, politics, event planning, and sort of the more people that sort of endorse you for something, it looks good if people are viewing your profile, because it's basically just a lot of people saying, hey, I know this person's really good at something. I mean, some people are really, really keen on using it. I've only done it a few times, I'll be honest. But again, it's a great way of, if you're starting out and you're networking, is endorsing a few people, getting them to endorse you. It's just a great way of boosting your profile. Has that helped? Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
You mentioned you're debating. Have you ever heard of DebateMate?
I took part in the Urban Debate League.
Yeah, I was going to say, when you mentioned the Urban Debate League, I was like, oh, I'm sure that's because I used to work for them years and years ago. Where was the Urban Debate League held this year? Or last year?
No, it wasn't the final. So it was.
Okay.
So currently, just round 1 and round 2
Nice.
happened. I think we're in the top 3 for round 1. Which
Fantastic.
was pretty good. Round 2 was held. We actually hosted round 2.
Lovely.
Which is pretty cool.
That's really cool.
And then I think the quarterfinals, I don't think we know which location it'll be. It'll probably be somewhere central London, as it usually is.
No, that's fantastic. Like I say, it's been a while since I worked at DebateMate, but the team I used to mentor in Manchester, and so we've gone wildly off track now. Sorry guys, feel free to skip over this part. But the team I mentored back in Manchester, they got to the finals, and they got to meet David Miliband, and the year before, I think it was held in Parliament, they got to meet Stephen Fry, and no, it's really, really great fun. I'm glad you're enjoying it. So yeah, there we go. That's that section. Any other questions around LinkedIn?
Nope. Just wanted to make a quick point. My cat's come to say hello.
Hello.
I don't know if you can see my cat.
Hello.
He just come over and just started like snuggling into my arm. It's like very sweet, but he's obviously after something.
Treats. That's usually what my dog's after.
Sorry, I take this.
I really do. Are you interested in DebateMate Cat?
I don't think he's interested in anything other than food.
Does he have a LinkedIn profile? This is Bahar. Now's the time to start.
There are 2 of you, Bahar.
Sorry?
It's 2. Sorry, that's me. I've clicked her open.
Okay.
Okay, so back to the point at hand. That's my fault. I've distracted everyone. So,
There's my cat.
okay. So yeah, that's endorsing. And you can do recommendations down here. Got other accomplishments. As you can see, I have no accomplishments. I speak English, and that's it. But this is you can add it in. Like you can add a project, an honor, an award, a test score, a language, an organisation, a publication. So, for example, you could definitely add like an honor award when you win the Urban Debate League. Okay, you're gonna win it, aren't you, Sean? Yes, you are. Put that in there and stuff like that. So cool. But like I said, if you've got any questions, we are covering LinkedIn more in depth at the end of this 6-week session. So if you've got any questions or anything you specific want to be looked at LinkedIn, let me know. And like I said, I'll make sure it's included. So there we go. That is link. Yes.
Sorry, just really quickly. So Susan Moore, who I don't know if you've met Susan Moore yet, but Susan Moore is Holly Ray's manager. And
Okay.
my manager as well. I think line manager down. But she wanted to pop into the call just to like say hello and just to see how it's going. So if someone pops in, it's going to be Susan. I'm just sending her a link now. But you know, hopefully, I think she's having a bit of trouble trying to get in. But I'm going to send her a link now. But carry on.
That's okay. Well, we're very exclusive. Okay, cool. So do we have any questions around some of the job sites we've looked at now? Or any questions about job searching? Is there anything that you want to know? Now is your opportunity to ask. You're all good?
Yep.
I'm seeing happy customers. That's what I like to hear. Okay, so now what we're going to look at is volunteering. So, Sean, have you done any volunteering? Have you done sort of anything with any charities or at school, or for example, debate mate? That could definitely be counted as sort of like volunteering.
I'm not sure.
No, that's okay. Don't you worry. There's just if you do have anything you want to, if you have, I just double check. So, why would you volunteer, Sean? Like, is there what do you think the benefits of volunteering are?
Well, you'd gain experience in a working environment, and
absolutely,
you'll gain skills. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
You also, if you're volunteering for a charity or something, you'll be helping out people.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. Absolutely. You gain skills and experience. I'll start that sentence again. You gain skills and experience. Like you said, you can get experience working in an office, as well as, like I said, developing other skills that you won't get at school, for example. It also looks great on your CV. It's fantastic because, again, the whole point of doing things like volunteering, internships, work placements is making you stand out, because we've got to keep remembering that the whole reason we're sort of doing this, to get a job, etc., and the way to get a job or go to university is to make you stand out. And there's no better way to make you stand out by saying, well, actually, I don't just sit around at home. What I do is I volunteer, and I've done X with debate mate. So so not only are you gaining skills, which is great personally, but it also looks fantastic on your CV. Volunteering can be as much or as little as you like. So you don't have to give up all your Saturday and Sunday to do it. It could be an hour a week, or it could be even less or even more. It's completely up to you when it comes to volunteering. It's all about selling what you've learned, and saying, well, actually, what I've gained from it is this, and I found it really valuable doing X, Y, and Z. You can try an industry to see if you like it. What's really great about volunteering is if you're not sure, I think I'm really interested in becoming a carer or a nurse, so I'm going to volunteer at my local hospice, or I'm going to volunteer at my local care home, see if I like it. Just put your toe in the water, see how you feel about it. Mm-hmm. And last but not least, like you said, do good, feel good. You know what? Another great thing about volunteering is just helping someone else. There's nothing more rewarding in this world, personally, than helping someone else. And so, you know what, for no other reason, just to put a bit of extra love out into the world is a really great idea. I mean, yeah, sure, it looks good on the CV, you gain skills, and it's great for you personally, but sometimes there's nothing better than just helping someone else, is there? So, talking of volunteering, like I said, volunteering, you can do this, you might have connections already. I'm very aware it's 8 o'clock, so I'm going to start wrapping this up soon. With volunteering, you might already have some connections. You might already work for charity, or you might do something already through school. But if you're not sure where to start, say, well, yeah, actually, I do want to get some volunteering experience, but where the heck do I go to do that? This is a fantastic charity called Be Inspired, and yes. Sorry, my computer's saying no. Yes, I do. Thank you. Be Inspired, so I'll start that again, is a great charity that is a volunteering charity, okay? So here we have, so if you don't know where you want to start, but you want to get some volunteering experience, this is a great place to look. So you can just be like, I want to volunteer. You can put in your town or postcode. So I'll put, oh, hello. There you go. It's already picked up that I live in Dartford. You can put some keywords in. You can select your interests. So, for example, I'm super interested in books. Doesn't really matter. Let's say I'm super old. I'm 30. And you can just be flexible. Just click search. Here we go. I could be a book volunteer. This is my age range. This is when I've got to apply. This is who it's with, British Heart Foundation. Click more information. What will I be doing? Organise and price books, chat to fellow book lovers. What skills will I develop for my CV? This is what's really great about this website and this charity is that, again, it's all super applicable stuff. What do I need? A love for books and a welcoming and helpful attitude. A bit what else you need to know, what's next. You can register your interest here and it gives you the website, shows you where it is, a bit about the British Heart Foundation, everything you need to know. Just click there and then put your email in and your password, a bit about yourself, and it's super easy to apply. If you want to start volunteering, if you want to start building up your experience on your CV, or if you just want to put a bit of love into the world, this is a really great place to start. And like I said, this is what, like, why to volunteer, volunteering tips, volunteering centres. Like I said, this is a great resource as well. Like, why should you volunteer? They've got like videos you can watch. They also have different programs. So like I said, they not only have things that you can search, like that one with the British Heart Foundation, but they've actually also got specific programs like Cash Point. If you've got an idea, you can get funding to create it. And they have the V-Inspired Awards, where you can get awards for all your volunteering hours, and it's a great way to network and meet other people and just get out there. And so there's lots of stuff that you can do. Yes, you have a question.
So if you do quite a bit of volunteering, would you be able to get something like a reference through that, or would
Absolutely.
you put it down on your CV?
Absolutely, you can absolutely get a reference and put it on your CV. So you'll have someone supervising you while you're working. For example, say I took that. I'm now a book supervisor at the British Heart Foundation. I can put that on my CV. I can put a little list of. If I just find that again. Here we go. So, right, say I was a book volunteer, you could absolutely put this on your CV. So you could even use this to sort of outline what skills you're developing for your CV. You can then put a reference down for your supervisor at the British Heart Foundation, and they would again be called upon to say, yes, this person's Sean's super reliable. He turns up every time. He's really punctual. He's got a helpful and happy attitude. And, I completely, this is what he's done for me. So, yeah, absolutely. You can put them as a reference. You can put it on your CV, and you can really use that experience in job interviews and really sell yourself and, what you do. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Awesome. Fantastic. Do you have any questions about volunteering or about this website? Is there anything you want to particularly look at? All good? No questions?
Yep, all good.
Fantastic. Okay, we are coming towards the end. I just want to thank you again for your patience. I know this one has been a long one, and we're nearly there now. So the last thing we're going to look at today are apprenticeships. So we have covered sort of traditional jobs, Saturday jobs. You might want to work in retail. We've looked at volunteering. These are all ways that build up your CV. But I just want to have a quick look at apprenticeships, because we've been talking about the future and where you want to go. And, for example, Sean sort of wants to look towards journalism. But I just want to let you know that there's apprenticeships out there and what they are. So what is an apprenticeship? So this is sort of a government-led program which combines practical training in a job with study. So if you're an apprentice, you'll be working alongside experienced staff and gaining job-specific skills. Basically, you'll be earning a wage, you're entitled to holiday pay, but you'll also be studying at the same time. So this is sort of, instead of doing your A-levels, or a degree, you might want to do like an equivalent apprenticeship, and at the end of, say, your 4 years, you'll have a like a degree level qualification. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Wonderful. So is an apprenticeship right for me? Apprenticeships are really great if you want to just get stuck into the workplace and you don't necessarily want to go to university, or if you prefer that sort of practical training on the job. Again, apprenticeships aren't for everyone even, but if you want to know a bit more, go to your local careers advisor at school, and we're now going to look up the government website, just read a bit more about it. But like I said, they're really good for people who like gaining experience and aren't necessarily want to do a degree or do full-time education. It's about getting that hands-on practical experience and doing your education alongside of it. Some people prefer that than maybe doing the more traditional route of A levels, a degree, and then, you know, at 21, first going out into the job field. Do you have any questions on what I've said so far about apprenticeships? I'm hearing keep silent if you agree everything that I've said. Fantastic. Next slide. So how do you apply for one? So like I said, this is a government scheme, and you can look at their website here. Just checking in. Can everyone hear me still well?
Yeah.
I'm seeing nodding. Fantastic. Okay. So, apprenticeship. This is the gov.uk website, and this has all the information on apprenticeships. How to become an apprenticeship, finding an apprenticeship, how to write a winning apprenticeship application, a guide for apprentices, higher and degree apprenticeships. This is for employees. You can ignore all this stuff. So how do I become an apprentice? So there's, like I said, this talks about the different levels. So you can do up to GCSE, you can do up to A level, foundation degree and above, or bachelor's and master's degree. Who can apply? So anyone who's 16 and over and at the end of the summer holidays, live in England, not in full-time education. There's 3 steps to applying. So you can search for an apprenticeship, sign in, create an account, and then complete and submit your application. So this is a real go-to place. This is a government website. I mean, I don't think it's the prettiest of websites, but it's really user-friendly. And like I said, this is sort of a government scheme, and it's a really good place to start your search. Does anyone any questions on apprenticeship so far, or is there anything on this website you want to look at before we look at the next sort of apprenticeship website? No, I'm seeing not. Fantastic. Right, if we so the next one and the last one, and then I promise you'll be able to go have your hot cocoa and go to sleep. So get my first job. So this is just, I think, a bit more of a just a bit more user friendly than the government website, a bit more exciting. And this sort of just tells you about what apprenticeships are, how they're available in 170 industries, etc. You can look at specific industries. So, for example, Sian, I know you mentioned you're interested in journalism. So let's look at arts and media. So not everyone can be on TV, but there's much more ways to enjoy success. So if we go here, so this is a level 2. Oh, my computer's frozen. Here we go. So it gives you what's really great about this website, it gives you an industry summary, current publishing vacancies, and also it shows you where they are all over the UK. So I know a lot of people can, panic and be like, oh gosh, is it all London focused? But no, there's lots of stuff all over the UK for you to look at. So you can search by location. And yeah, so that's just one example. So there's also this website's great. It's got apprenticeships, it's also got traineeships, and there's other resources as well. So yeah, really, this is also stuff like for parents or if you can ask questions. And again, there's a community. So if you're still not sure about if an apprenticeship is for you, you can sort of read about other apprentice stories. and just do a bit of research to see if it's for you, which is really great. So there we go. Any questions about apprenticeships? Fantastic. You must be absolutely tired. So let's wrap this session up and let everyone get to bed. So at the beginning of this session, we sort of asked about how you're feeling about what the upcoming weeks hold. Now you've had your first session, and we've sort of what we've discussed today. How are you feeling? What are you hoping to get out of the session, Sean?
I'd like to see what I'd be able to realize.
Yeah.
How employers look for employees and what are the best ways to get a proper job and go into a career path.
Okay. So what I might include, so this is really fantastic. So in the next couple of sessions, we're looking at CVs and cover letters. So I'm sort of doing a brief, well, this is what you need to include. So what I might add into it is sort of what are employers looking for? So say, for example, when I'm hiring, I've got a pile of CVs. What's going to make them stand out for me? What am I looking for specifically? Would that be helpful for you?
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
Sounds great.
Okay. A few more summary, and then I promise I'll let you go. What has ended today? Can you name one thing that you found interesting? One thing that you might do from now on, something that you're going to take away and think about, or something that you just you didn't know before. You can have a little think if you want. Baha, I'll come to you as well.
Oh no.
But yeah, so Sean, if you can think of anything that you found interesting or particularly useful.
I think it was interesting to see what type of things employers looking for and how sort of different paths and where to look for jobs and what are the best ways to get a job.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Right, no, that's fantastic. Yeah, so Baha will probably send these slides around, and again have all those lists of links. And remember, so I know we did a lot of reflecting at the beginning of this session, sort of looking at what our values are. Keep that in mind in the coming weeks. Hopefully I'll see you next week, especially we're going to cover like CVs, cover letters, and you're as you said, you're sort of interested in what employers are looking for. We're going to cover that. So definitely keep tuned. We'll have more stuff for you to look into. But until then, I know this has been a really long session, so I just want to thank you one last time. You have been an absolute trooper. If you have any questions for me, and again, if you've got anything else you want to see in the upcoming sessions, just let me know.